Good afternoon and welcome to this complete guide to myBTEC online, something that we may all have to get a little bit more used to, learning and delivering things online if things go as they are currently going. The business manager, actually, a guy called Ben Swift, who will be probably joining the event in a little while to answer some of your questions. He came up with a great phrase to describe what myBTEC could be. It's a business continuity homeworking strategy, something that you can assess, that you can access from anywhere, from your home or whatever else, in order to carry on your very valuable work, whilst obviously not keeping yourself isolated from huge groups of people, which may become relevant in the near future, unfortunately. Anyway, good afternoon and welcome again to the myBTEC Complete Guide. I'm Andrew Buckingham, and I've been using myBTEC for a while and also training on it for a while. So I should be able to give you some guidance as to what the system can do. The majority of this session will actually be me going into myBTEC and demonstrating, going through, creating a course, etc., etc. We'll look at as much of the functionality as the time will allow, which is an hour and a half that we have been allocated for this event. And this is supposed to replace, if you like, the two events that ran previously, which are an introduction to myBTEC, and then there was an advanced users course as well. So what we're going to be doing, a little bit of an intro, how to get started, a guided tour, and then the vast majority of this will be a demonstration, so you actually get to look at things. If you do have any questions, and I notice at least one has popped up somewhere in the Q&A already, if I can, I will mark them. I will answer them. I'm in teacher mode, not mark them. I will answer them. As I said, Ben Swift, who is the product manager for this for myBTEC, will be joining in a wee while. He's just on his way out from a meeting, and he will be sat in the background in order to answer any difficult questions that I can't. I also find it difficult to do two things at once, tap your head and rub your belly at the same time. So whilst I'm demonstrating and presenting, I might get a bit down a rabbit hole in that and not pay as much attention as I might do to the questions that pop in. There are two ways to give us questions and feedback as we're going on through the event. There's the Q&A pod that some of you have already found. Paul has already asked me a question, which we'll endeavour to answer when we have a look at the Learner Progress tab later in a wee while, Paula. And also there's a group chat window, and in the group chat window, that is basically shared amongst you all. You can respond to each other's comments. I can respond to them. Ben can respond to them. The Q&A is something that is between you and I, or is not shared with the rest of the delegates. Whereas the group chat is an open window that people tend to share their ideas in. So you can use either or, and we will try and get back to you. As I say, if I can't answer the question and Ben can't answer the question, or it's not something that's immediately obvious, we will get back to you. So that's questions. I'm sure plenty of you will have questions. This event really is, in the blurb, it was introduced as an event for people who've not attended either of the other sessions, the introductory session or the advanced session. It doesn't matter if you have, it might be a little bit repetitive if you have been to those or either or both of those. So don't worry, we are going to get to know you a little bit through some poll questions just now in order to know where we stand in terms of your experience and your expectations from the event. So you should be able to see a poll on your screen as I speak. If you would do me a favour and click on your centre type and then the submit button. There will be a few of these little polls as we go through in order to A, get some information from you guys, and B, make sure you're still awake. So we have at least a school out there somewhere. Mostly schools. 63% of you currently are schools, which is unsurprising, I suppose, really. In fact, virtually all of your schools is a smattering of work-based learning. Just interesting from our point of view as to who's using the system. It does tend to be schools. Obviously, there are sixth form colleges and FE colleges as well in there. But we seem to have lots and lots of school teachers in the mix this afternoon, which is fab. And there are the results. One FE college, loads of schools. And if you're brand spanking new to myBTEC, you probably won't know this. But if you're not new to myBTEC or the BTEC scheme, if you like, the quality assurance model, and all of that jazz, you will have a responsibility within the BTEC realm. And if you could share that with me as well, that would be fab. If you're all quality nominees, maybe we'll aim it slightly more differently than if you're all course leaders or internal verifiers or whatever you may be. And if you're not entirely sure, don't worry, it will become clear, hopefully, the role that you need to be claiming when you actually do get into myBTEC. And the roles, if you don't recognize any of these particular BTEC responsibility, the names, if you like, the roles, the names of the roles within myBTEC that give you certain permissions to do certain things. You'll have to declare yourself as being one of those in order to get the permissions that you require to do your admin work. So we've got some QNs, we've got some lead IVs, course leaders. In myBTEC speak, a course leader is very much like a lead internal verifier, apart from they haven't got responsibility for a whole curriculum area like a lead IV would. A course leader perhaps is just in charge of a course, and they, in myBTEC terms, will be able to create courses within that subject area. So that's who we've got. Intervention support, people who just want to have an overview of what's going on, perhaps ahead of year, or an achievement coach or something. Very rarely do we have assessors that never ever do any internal verification. If you might be, but if you ever have internally verified an assignment brief or a piece of work from a colleague, then you would have to declare yourself as being an internal verifier when you come to choose your role. And possibly most telling is, have you ever used myBTEC before? No, never, or tried it a while ago, or use it occasionally is probably where this is aimed at. Use it often. You probably know as much as I do. Hopefully not. Thanks, Eloise. Alternative provision. Not on the list. So the vast majority of you, by the looks of it, are no-nevers, which is where we shall we'll sort of pitch this at and come in at. No use it oftens, which is really where we should be. Okay, so a little bit of an introduction into myBTEC. What is it? Well, it's an admin system, in effect. If you're currently sat in your office or in a classroom with loads of lever arch files full of bits of paper, all of those bits of paper can be created and managed online in the cloud on myBTEC. It's an admin tool, in effect. It can replace your markbook. It can replace the file that you keep all your authorized assignment briefs in, and lots of different elements. Most of the elements that go into administering a BTEC course are paper heavy, and this system is designed to absorb that paper, stop you from having to kill trees in order to run your BTEC course. It's designed to save you time, reduce your admin, reduce your paper requirements. It's not something that is going to be able to store your learner work. Not yet. It's to use alongside anything that a VLE or an ePortfolio or Google Classroom or any of those other Microsoft applications, etc., that you might actually store learner work on. It doesn't allow you to do that, but it does allow you to store all of your paperwork on there, all of your IV documentation, etc. It allows you to create and also print and populate data into the paperwork automatically. So there's lots of information that the system already knows. It already knows all the assessment criteria for a particular qualification, learning outcome or learning aim. So you never have to type that in anywhere again, because the system will extract that and do it for you. There's a workflow management system within myBTEC that allows you to eliminate those brown envelopes that circulate continuously through school internal postage systems. So if you have a request to internally verify something, instead of arriving in a brown envelope, that will arrive in your workflow inbox or My Tasks inbox. You will be pinged an email to remind you that there's something in the system that needs your attention. And you go in there and you click on the My Tasks button, and it takes you directly to where you need to be immediately. Then you can fill that form out or approve that document or do whatever you need to do online in real time, press the button, and then that is done. There's no need to send things through the internal post, then send another letter back through the internal post saying that that's been actioned for somebody. They have visibility of what's happening, and so do you. Like I said, lots of digital workflows in there, pre-populated with all the data that Pearson already holds about its own qualifications. For instance, here we've got Unit 22, Market Research in something or other. That particular learning aim and all of the assessment criteria associated with it are stored in the system. So when you have to put that on a piece of paperwork, the system will be able to generate it for you. One of the big strengths of myBTEC, not its whole raison d'etre, but certainly it's an important feature, is that it helps to ensure that you follow the correct procedures, and it makes it more difficult to do things wrong. So some of the digital workflows will take you to where you need to be to do what you need to do. Some of the wizards in there will help you to create the paperwork correctly. It stops you from doing things that you shouldn't do in the right, and makes you do things in the right order. So for instance, you can't issue an assignment brief unless it's got a date in your assessment plan, which you shouldn't be doing because all your dates should be in your assessment plan, which might sound a little bit onerous, but it just stops you doing things wrong and encourages you to do things in the right way, and also ensures that when your SV comes along, you can print all this stuff out if you want to, or you can give them access to your myBTEC system, so they can go in and have a look themselves as to what's going on, and you more or less guarantee that everything is going to be hunky-dory in terms of the quality assurance model, simply because the system leads you through it step by step. So what happens within myBTEC? What can we do? Well, one of the first things you need to do is to create a course. Well, the very first thing you do is you need to be able to log on to the system. So you need to, if you've not done so already, if you've got an edXL online login, and if you haven't got one of those, go and see your exams officer and they will be able to get you one, or the person who administers your BTEC provision in your centre. The same username and password is used for edXL Online as it is for myBTEC. So as soon as you have an edXL Online profile, and I'll show you that in a second in the demo, you have to make sure you've got a little box ticked that creates a myBTEC profile for you. And once that little box is ticked, you'll be able to access the myBTEC system using the same logon credentials as you do from edXL Online. I'll show you that in a second. As soon as you get in there, you've got to then claim a role. And a role is related to those job titles that we discussed a few slides ago, and that effectively sets up the permissions that you have and what you can and can't do within the system. And that's dependent on your responsibilities and the job that you need to be able to perform to fulfill your internal verification or assessment duties or whatever you need to do. Once you've actually got a role assigned to you, then you can go through and create a course, you can create assignments, you can plan your assessment, you can create your assessment plans within myBTEC, and they will automatically populate onto your assignment briefs, so the dates always tally up. You can do the internal verification of your assignment briefs within the system as well by writing or editing your assignment briefs in the system. By the way, the system already has all the authorized assignment briefs in it, so you can take one of those as authored by Pearson, and you can take one of those and copy it and change it and customize it as your will and use it, send it for internal verification within the system. That will ping to your internal verifier within your establishment. In their My Tasks inbox, like we said, they're one click to find that and another few clicks to approve that documentation, and it comes back to you. Then you can issue it to your learners. There is no provision for electronically issuing things really, but the system will populate all the dates onto the documentation along with everything else, and enable you to print out hard copies of assignment briefs that are dated correctly, and all that the correct information is in there in exactly the same format as they are published currently on the website, using the right templates and the correct styles and formats. Then once that's been come back to you, you can have that piece of paperwork in front of you, or however your learners submit their work, either on bits of paper or inside OneNote or Google Classroom or whatever you use. And with that in front of you, you can open myBTEC and start to enter your assessment decisions directly into the assessment element of myBTEC. So no more filling out of forms, you can do it directly into the system. You can then request that your IV sample paperwork be done within the system. It will mean that the brown envelopes won't be thrown out completely, because you still need to somehow communicate the work to the person doing the internal verifying of your assessment decisions. So if it's an online portfolio, you can send them the link and they can access it on their system that's out with myBTEC. But all of the confirmation paperwork and IV paperwork is done within myBTEC. It can handle resubmissions as well, and the IV sample, the resubmissions as well, and you can actually claim certification directly out of myBTEC. Lots and lots of things that this thing can do that best makes it more straightforward and easier. So just a quick recap then. What kind of product type is it? Well, you don't have to go and negotiate with your IT team, buy a new laptop with more RAM or whatever else, because it's actually a web-based, cloud-based application. As long as you can get on a browser, Google Chrome or Firefox or Edge or whatever, you can access myBTEC. So it doesn't matter where you are. Hence the business continuity home working strategy fits right in, because you can do this from the comfort of your own home or within the office. You can even do it on portable devices like tablets, and if you've got really good eyesight, a good smartphone, but you'll have to squint probably to see the text. It also links with other systems within the Pearson portfolio. So you have links to Edexcel Online, you have links to certification and the results plus areas of the Pearson systems, so that if your qualification has externally assessed units, then they will automatically be populated into myBTEC. But which one, you may ask? They've resat. Well, it's the highest grade gets populated back into myBTEC for you to make sure you're always doing the best for your particular learners. Who uses it? Well, anyone can in your centre, or anyone you give permission to. Usually it's going to be people who are directly involved in the provision or administration of a BTEC course. It covers all the qualifications from entry level up to level 3. As we said, that in the delivery format, you don't get sent a disk through the post or anything else. You can access it immediately once you have an EOL login by following the links to the myBTEC website. It's completely free to any centre in the UK, and over 1,000 centres are now using it throughout the year, and it is growing because the qualifications are growing and the admin is a burden, and it's just a good system to start with. So a few polls. A little bit more information from you guys, just to make sure that what I've told you is what you've heard, if that makes any sense. So what is myBTEC? A free-to-use secure website, free software you can install, an online testing system or an e-portfolio system. Invariably, at least 1 or 2 people on these events you get the wrong end of the stick at some point. So it's handy just to recap and review. And this is no exception. Okay, so we've got a few responses now, so we'll just have a look at what those responses say. And I haven't been clear. It is a free-to-use secure website. It's not an e-portfolio system. You mentioned an e-portfolio system, and I have mentioned them, and people automatically assume that it's part and parcel of the myBTEC product. An e-portfolio is something where you would store your learner work, or learner work would be submitted into an e-portfolio system, like maybe Turnitin or OneNote, or one of those fancy-schmancy new classroom management systems. myBTEC doesn't do that. You can't submit work through myBTEC. It's just, well, I say it's just, it is the admin side of the myBTEC that it manages. So if you're expecting myBTEC to allow your learners to submit pieces of learner work directly to you through the system, then it doesn't. They have to come to you either in hard copy, or they come to you via a third-party system. So it could be Turnitin, or it could be your VLE, or it could be whatever. So it's not an e-portfolio system, but it is a free-to-use secure website. myBTEC's mission: to make money for Pearson. Well, that might be Pearson's mission, that's not entirely myBTEC's mission. To save you time that can benefit learners, to let Pearson keep an eye on what you're doing, or to improve exam grades. Click and submit if you'd be so kind. Okay. So, exactly that. Doesn't make money for Pearson. It's free. It certainly doesn't make any money for them directly. Doesn't let Pearson keep an eye on what you're doing, because they don't. They can't. It does allow your SV with your permission to go in there, which might make your standards verification process a little smoother. But it also gives you the option of printing all your documentation out if you need to, so you can keep your standards verification system completely in paper if you want to. To improve exam grades, well, not directly. But if you save time to benefit learners, it could be a long-term indirect benefit. We're not going to claim that it's going to make all your learners brilliant, because that's just not possible from an online administration system. But it can save you time, and that will benefit them. So getting started, we've sort of discussed this a few moments ago, so we'll get on to the demonstration in just a few minutes. So we have already said the first thing you need to go, once you've got an Edexcel online login, you can access the system. If you're lucky enough to be the quality nominee, then part of your Edexcel online profile will declare that, and myBTEC will pick up on that, and you will automatically have super user access to everything on myBTEC for your centre. All other lesser mortals, from the lead internal verifiers downwards, have to actually apply for a role. And I'll show you how to do that when we go into the system. They will claim their role, that then will be accepted by their quality nominee, and then the responsibility for approving role claims is then deferred or delegated to the lead IVs for their particular curriculum areas. So the roles are hierarchical. You just claim the highest role that you require for your subject area. So if you do any sort of internal verification at all within the subject area, that's the role you need to claim, is for an internal verifier. If you don't do anything, but you do mark work, you don't do any internal verification at all, then the highest responsibility that you need is for the assessor. So that is the role that you would claim. Once you've got you've got your permission set up, your role set up, you can create a course if you're a course leader or above, and select your course team. Pull your colleagues into that team. You can pull your learners in. As I said, these things are connected to other systems within Pearson. So the learners that are registered on the course that you have created, they are known by Edexcel Online and the system, the wider system. They are imported directly into myBTEC for you. So there's no need to type any names or examination numbers or candidate numbers or anything like that. The system already knows them, and you can just pull them into your course directly. You add some dates to your assignments, and they automatically are populated into your assessment plan, or vice versa. You can add assignments into your course with no dates, and then go and put all dates on all of them in your assessment plan later, and they will back populate into your assignments. You can do your assessment activities. The myBTEC will generate feedback sheets and trackers in order for you to keep a good eye on what's been achieved within your particular class or cohort of learners. And someone did ask earlier on about where you would find a grade for a particular unit, and that is where you would find one. It's in the tracker, the learner progress tracker at the end, which we'll show you in just a few moments. So, a couple more questions for you guys. What's the first thing you need to do to get started with myBTEC? Build a course, get an EOL login, claim a role, create an assignment. Okay, 2 potentially correct answers on this one. So if I just pull that through, if you haven't got one already, you need an EOL login. So that's the first thing you need to do. If you've already got one, then you need to claim a role once you get into myBTEC, once you get into the system. So you're all right. You're both right. So let's take a look. I'm going to set up a screen share. So just bear with me 1 second. If I screen share, I'm going to share my entire second monitor with you, which should be there. Looking at my audience view monitor, I should be able to see when that pops up. And you should be able to see that now. Let me just have a quick look through some questions in the group chat. I noticed that Ben has joined us in the background somewhere, and whether he's responding to things in the group chat or not. Some confusion there for Adam, you might want to sort out, Ben. And Eloise, courses aren't there to select. I was under the impression that they all were, so that's something for Ben to discuss with you in the background, Eloise, if he's not doing so already. All the way from foundation to level 3 nationals, the courses, the BTEC courses should be in the system somewhere. Right, you should now be able to see my my test center Edexcel online profile. So to get here, you log on and you will arrive in the home page here. And this is going to log me out because I've been logged out for a while. Oh no, it's not. It's going to let me. That's not where you should arrive. There you go. That's where you arrive when you first log into this, if you're completely unfamiliar with it. And then you can go straight into my account and you arrive at the screen that controls access to things. It's got my details in there, my email address, etc. You don't have to bother about any of these things unless you are the quality nominee. So the quality nominee checkbox is here. And if you go in here and this is checked, you have nominated or been nominated as being the quality nominee. And that means that you are automatically allocated as super user within myBTEC. So you're in charge initially. And it's down to you actually to go in there and to approve the roles that are applied for by your colleagues initially. Once your lead internal verifiers, they then have that responsibility for lesser roles and other members of the team. They can take over admin of roles for their particular curriculum areas. The other important one down here that you all need, if you're not the QN, is to have a myBTEC profile tick in this little box here. Without this tick, you don't get a myBTEC profile created. So you need to check that. And if you haven't got one, ask your exams officer to create one for you or to add that tick in for you. So that's the prerequisites that you need within Edexcel Online. And from Edexcel Online, you can directly access, if you really want to, myBTEC by coming down here, picking the BTEC qualification suite, and then there's a link to myBTEC down at the bottom here. I've already got one. Here's one I made earlier in good old Blue Peter style. So when you arrive, I'm just going to log out of there. When you arrive, it looks very much like an Edexcel Online login. They're the same credentials that we'd use for Edexcel Online. But don't forget to accept the terms and conditions. They're irritating. We do have them every time. I can log into the system and land on the home page. The home page is a really useful place to land because it gives you all kinds of news and links to other useful stuff. If you just scroll down a little bit on your homepage, then you can get guides as to how to do things. Qualifications available in myBTEC if you want to go and have a good quick look at that. Providing feedback to Ben and his team at the bottom. Lots of help and support via the Pearson website, the BTEC website. How to get started. The links to these webinars, for instance, if you want to have an online event, or your colleagues do, they can book their online events or get details of them at least from the webinar link in the homepage of myBTEC for colleagues who want to join and use the system. Courses, directly now asking you, do you want to manage a course, create a course, manage a course, create an assignment, manage your assignments? Generally speaking, what we would start up in the top here. When you land for the first time here, you will not see much of this because there will be no data in your system for you. You will land and we'll have to go and have a look at some roles. So this is where you first need to come into the system. You may well have managed roles, fixed roles, and my roles, depending on your role. The fixed roles are, as the name implies, all fixed. So we're going to have a look at those. Those are the things that are declared externally. So you'll have things like your QN. There's your QN, Centre Coordinator, Administrator, Exams Officer. Those things are allocated and set outside of myBTEC, actually in the wider system. So if you want to declare yourself as a quality nominee, then we do that in Edexcel Online, for instance. So likewise, if you're the Exams Officer or the coordinators that need admin access to things, then you will already have access and in these fixed roles that can't be changed from within myBTEC. My roles are mixed here, listed here, and I've got quite a few, having messed around in this system for a while. This is a test system. There's no live data in here. If you notice, the address is 190 High Holborn, which is the address of the headquarters of Pearson in London. What you will need to do is come in here and press the Claim a Role button. Which subjects am I claiming a role for? And these will be all the subjects that you have registered to deliver elsewhere in the BTEC in Pearson world, in one of the external systems like Edexcel Online. So if I wanted to say land-based, and I'll see the roles that are related to that. So this is my subject area. What do I do? Do I just assess things, create and mark assignments, verify them, verify assignments and verify assessment decisions? Do I create new courses? Do I have complete control as lead internal verifier? So you select the one that's relevant to you and you submit it for approval. And it goes for approval initially to either the QN. For instance, if I claimed the lead internal verifier role, that would go to the QN for for the centre. Once that was established and the QN had approved me as lead internal verifier, any other role applications or role claims within my subject area would come to me as lead internal verifier. So I can press those buttons. Now, if you come to this and you suddenly find, if I submit that for approval, I don't know who the lead internal verifiers are, but helpfully it tells you. Land-based course leader, I've just claimed. Your claim for the above role has been submitted and is waiting approval from QN1 Demo. QN1 Demo is a name, it's somebody's name. In the real system it would appear as John Smith or Jane Smith or whatever, and so you'd know where this had gone to if you ever needed to chase it up. And it also goes to your quality nominee or lead IV for the subject. You'll receive an email when the claim has been confirmed. One of the things that's really useful about myBTEC is that it tells you things. It tells you things as you're doing them, usually tells you things before you're doing them, so you appreciate the consequences of what you were doing. So you'll get that. That will ping its way now to either the QN or the lead internal verifier, and they will have to approve that, and I'll show you how they do that in a second. So that's the first thing you do. Claim the role that you want for your subject area. Your lead internal verifier will come in and they will have the Manage Roles tab. And that's where I manage other people's roles, not necessarily my own, but other people's. So all these names here, including me, are lots and lots of different people in this course. So this particular one here is pending. Don't know whether I have got the authority to approve it, which is nice. That must be important in this particular centre. And there's lots down here that are approved in other areas. And lots and lots and lots of them, because this is a test system and it gets a little bit unwieldy. There's 45 pages of roles that I can approve or not. You can change them, you can alter them, you can edit them using this set of buttons across the top here. What I can do as well is auto approve. So if I'm the lead internal verifier or even QN initially when you're setting the system up and all of your members of staff want to get on, you don't really want all of your members of staff to be pinging you claims, because if you've got like 100 staff or 200 staff, then you don't really want to have to individually answer 200 claims in the system. It's fairly quick and easy, but even 200 things that are fairly quick and easy will become a pain quite quickly. So what you can do is you can initially auto approve all the claims that come to you. So it doesn't hold anybody up in the system. They're not waiting for you to get round to the 199th request for approval that you've been given. And so you can come back in at your leisure and just make sure that people have claimed the correct things, and you can change them and alter them if they haven't. So it's certainly useful when you're initially setting up the system. Once it's up and running, it makes sense to turn that off and then regain an iron grip, if you like, or at least sensible control of the people who are claiming roles within your particular subject areas. And it tells you exactly what I've just said, only in a bit more succinct manner. If you set this, then anyone who sends you something will be automatically approved. They will tell you this, and we will send you an email to confirm it, but that's what will happen. So if you you may well, when you're setting this system up, want to set that. You may well want to set a reminder if you claim a role that is not immediately approved, and you know that lots of colleagues are doing likewise, just drop a line to the person who's set to approve the roles, and they may want to turn that on. Whilst the system is being initially set up. So, quick thing about roles again, read-only roles, they are achievement managers, maybe heads of year want to go in and have a look and monitor progress. So they'll be looking at trackers and things like that. They won't have any permissions to do marker work or change anything in the system or create courses or create assignment briefs or whatever else. The assessor can create assignments and also mark them. Internal verifiers can do everything that assessors and read-only users can use, but they can also verify assignments and assessment decisions. Course leaders can do everything that internal verifiers can do, with the added bonus of being able to create new courses. And then lead internal verifiers have control of everything over their entire subject area, their curriculum area. The only person that above a lead internal verifier is the QN, who has oversight of all the lead internal verifiers, so they have oversight of all the curriculum areas. And obviously then the whole centre is their responsibility in terms of BTEC provision. So we have got a role set up and it's been approved. So the first thing you want to do once you've got yourself set up is create a course or manage courses. So let me just go back to the home screen, because this is where you land more times than not. Miller, he's asking a question, how long does it take for the pending process, so for a staff member to be approved? Hopefully I've just answered that in the past couple of minutes. It will indicate to the person who's been asked to approve it in their My Tasks box up here, which I'll show you now. And it will also ping them an email to say there's an outstanding action for them to perform on the system, or unless they have that auto approve tab set. And in that case, it should be in real time, it should be instantaneous. So the My Tasks inbox is one of the great things about this system. If someone else asks you to do something or something requires your attention, then it will pop into your My Tasks inbox. When it does so, anything that goes into the inbox is followed up with an email to your email address. That will just give you a reminder. Something's just happened on myBTEC. We don't expect you to be logged into it 24/7, but you might want to go and pop in and see what's going on. Go and clear your My Tasks inbox. So for instance, in this one's from November last year, because this is a test system, so it gets neglected a little bit. And it's telling me that there's some evidence to assess. So if I wanted to now, I could go straight in. This particular assignment in whatever qualification it is ready for marking. So you press view, and you don't have to hunt around for looking for qualifications or learners or anything else. You just hit the button in the My Tasks inbox and it takes you to exactly where you need to go to carry out that piece of work. The only thing that I would need is the piece of learner work in front of me, because of course it's not an e-portfolio. The learner work is not in the system, but the mark sheets and everything else are. We will come to this in a wee while. But that's an example of where I would enter my marks. I've got a piece of work from Alex Bell in front of me, and I would enter my marks into there. We will come back and we'll look at that in detail shortly. Back to courses. It also leaves it in your inbox unless you do it as well. So even if you go in and you get called away or have to break off for some reason, then you can, it will just sit in your My Tasks inbox waiting for you to actually complete the task. So I'm going to create a new course. I don't have to create one from scratch. I could, if I had one existing, like this one that I created earlier today, just to have a play in the system. I could copy that if I wanted to, or clone it, create a copy up here. There are some little bits that are useful to know up here. We've got status, filters, lots of filters in these lists. So if these are active and confirmed and finished, courses, so there's an active course or a confirmed course that's not actually got any learners on it yet, or something, or courses have actually finished and done, so their course dates have expired and they've been, as I say, they've been finished. So you can actually turn those off if you don't want those to list and just keep your active ones. You can clear the filters, you can do all kinds of things. There's a little button here which enables you to declare favorites. So If you click on the star, it sets it as a favorite. If you click on the star again, it gets rid of the colored background. It empties the star and unsets it as a favorite. And the thing about favorites are they always appear at the top of your lists. So your favorites, your classes that you teach every day, or the classes that you want to access every day, you will set them as favorites, so they always appear at the top of the list. If you want to archive something, get rid of something completely and make it always appear at the bottom of a list. Now I've done a schoolboy error there. I was trying to select something in that list, but if you click on the course title, it actually takes you to the course. It sort of hyperlinks into the course, which it's done, which I didn't want it to do. So let's just go back to my courses again, or go back to courses again. Response time is generally pretty good on the system. Don't be fooled by the roundels. It's not too bad at all. So instead of clicking on one of these here, click on it somewhere over here and it highlights the line. So I'm avoiding actually clicking on that underlined link. And then if I wanted to, I could set that as an archive. If I'd created it, I could. Oh, there we are. So I've archived it. The little icon there is turned into an archiving box. And now when I come into this, that course will always appear at the bottom of the list. So that's something that I want to keep, obviously, for audit purposes, but I don't want to really see it every day. I'll go and find it if I need it. And that one is now archived and put away at the bottom. So favorites for the stuff at the top of the list, archive for the stuff that always appears at the bottom of the list, and you can always do filters or sorts on the other characteristics. But we're actually going to create a course. And this is a wizard that leads you through the process of creating a course. Like I said, I could copy one if it already existed, but if you're new to this, you won't have any. So, well, look, I could be engineering or land-based because I'm at least a course leader for those two subject areas. So course leaders are required, that role is required in order to create a course. So I could do in either of those. I'm going to create an engineering course. I'm going to create a BTEC National, the RQF spec BTEC Nationals. What kind of engineering would I like? Well, the system goes away and finds what's available in that suite of qualifications. It's just vanilla engineering I'm after. Just having a quick look at questions. Don't seem to be any, which is good. Either that or Ben is beavering away in the background, deflecting them all away from me, which is also good. So it's vanilla engineering, and it goes away and it finds out all the qualification sizes that are available in vanilla engineering. This one's going to be a diploma, 720 guided learning hours. Now, I'm coming at this, and I'm actually, like most of you will be doing, perhaps, is creating courses that are already running. So you can create backdated ones, it's fine. So I'm just going to go back to September 1st, 2019, and my course is going to finish in 2020, 2021, 2-year course. So June, July, sometime around 30th of July 2021. And another useful thing is, of course, here you can see that the course start dates, the qualification end dates are given here, and the certification end dates are given here directly. So you don't have to go and dig out your, dig around on the Ofqual website looking for certification end dates, because the system will tell you, so you can make sure that your course starts before the qualification end date and certificates, or ends before the certification end date, so you can make sure that that's happening. I'm going to call this live demo so I can find it nice and easily. 130320. And I get a little bit of a summary here. If I want to, I can go and have a look at the qualification, so I can directly link to the qualification specification. Open that up if I want to check something, check sizes or whatever else. But I'm happy with that. Save and continue. It won't let me save and continue until all those ticks are green, incidentally. So it knows, it's gone away and it's found that particular qualification, and it's found all the units that are in that qualification, and it also knows the mandatory units already, so it's populated those in for me. I have to take those anyway, no matter what. And I'm going to actually select some unit selections. Your system will also take that one out. There's some from group C. I'm going to take one from Group D, and these are the same combination rules you find in the specification, and I'll take those two there, which is a valid course combination. And when you can enter in a valid course combination, it tells you, and it allows you to save and continue. So I've got 720 added learning hours. I've got the units from the appropriate places in the different groupings, and I've got a list of the mandatory units. One of the principles of myBTEC is that you can access everything that you need in one place without swapping between websites or paper documents or whatever else. And if I want to, I can go and have a look at the unit specifications for these things just by clicking on it, brings it up for me so I can have a look through there. And likewise for all of these different units, if I'm not entirely sure which is the one that I wanted to select in my optional units, I can just hit the preview button and have a look at electrical machines if I want to, without having to leave the space that I'm in. So save and continue, got 720 GLH, happy. Add some assignments, gives me the option to do so. Well, I haven't got any assignments because this is brand new to it. I could actually add some authorized assignment briefs, because there are some of those on the system for engineering, I'm sure. Well, I've got lots of assignment briefs there from engineering. How on earth do I do this? I've created a lot myself. There are 14 pages full. I can view up to 20 items per page, but I want to filter it down a bit more effectively. So stick the filters on, and let's just have the ones that have not been created by me or a colleague in my center, but are actually the Pearson authored assignment briefs. So these ones here are actually the authorized assignment briefs as appear on the website that are already actually populated within myBTEC. So let's go and have a look. So I'm going to import, not going to import everything, but I'm going to clear all from this filter, and I'm going to import unit 2 at least, and maybe unit 15. Okay, it only shows me the ones that are available or that I'm looking at. Why is it not allowing me to do that? I'm not sure. So I'm going to add those two for a start. And lots of other filters that I can do elsewhere. So that's the number of learning aims that I've covered already. So I've got 2 assignment briefs in there. And that one covers learning aim A, and that one B and C. So this gives me an idea, and there's lots of these infographics within myBTEC. There are 28 learning aims in this entire qualification, and I've got I've got assignments here that will cover 3 of those. So obviously I need to do a lot more of those, but I can come back and I can add them in later. I'll just keep that one in there for the time being, and I'll save and continue. Apparently Ben is beavering away in the background, which is splendid. We like to keep him busy. So now we've actually created our course, and you can see now it's asking for adding the people in. So we've selected the qualification and the units we're going to deliver. We have had the option to put some assignment briefs in there, and I have imported some of the authorized assignment briefs, not all. I can do that and backfill those later as I develop those assignments, or I get some more time to actually put those assignment briefs in. And now I'm going to add the people in my team. Now the senior team here are these people who can't be changed, basically. So these are decided elsewhere in either Edexcel Online land, as in the quality nominee, or within myBTEC elsewhere, as in the lead internal verifier. Usually there's only 1. In this test system there's 3 for some reason. And the course leader, because I created it, I've already been allocated as course leader for this. And that would do. I could actually run the course like that, but I'm going to actually declare who's actually running this, because the course leader doesn't actually necessarily run it. So I'm going to get myself in there, because I'm going to be actually doing some teaching and assessing and internal verifying. And I have a colleague called Ivy, Mrs. Ivy Demo, and she is also going to be delivering, and the things that she assesses, I will IV, and the things that I assess, she will IV. So added the staff members in there. If I could go in and add assessors only if I wanted to, but only if someone's claimed a role. So if you get to this point and you want to add assessors, or more likely you want to add some other colleagues involved with read-only, like head of year and achievement manager, then if you get this message here, then you can't do unless they actually claim that role. So ask them to go in the system, claim the role within your subject area, and then you'll be able to add them to a course. And you can add them in retrospect, it's fine. My phone's just gone off to tell me that I've been added as part of a new course, which is also useful. So any of these important things that I would need to know, then it backs things up with an email just to confirm that that's happening. Now, we've got that's members of staff. So we've got some add learners now. Nice big infographic. There are currently 4 learners registered for this qualification at your centre. Now, those 4 learners could either be in the same class with a very small class size, or they could be in 4 different classes with extremely small class sizes of 1. So if you've got registered learners, you might have 100 in your centre and run 3 groups or 4 groups, then you can create copies of this course, and each copy of the course would be one of those classes. Because each one of those classes will be managed potentially by different people, different teachers or lecturers, potentially even doing different units. So let's import some learners. So again, those learners are available or already registered on Edexcel Online as being registered on this particular course. They are registered on a diploma in engineering. So you can pick one or all of them, probably. Oh, there you go, thinking about it. So I want all of those. So I'm only running 1 small class, and I'm going to save and continue. Now it gives you the option at the end here to actually think about what you've done and confirm your course. There are things that you can't alter after you've confirmed your course, things that you can continue to alter. You can't delete a unit, but you can add an extra unit and swap units and do odd things. So what we've got, a big summary. In effect, we've got the course dates are added, yep. We've got units added, yep. Assignments, some of them added. We've got some staff and we've got some learners. That's pretty much all we need. And I'll confirm that course. It will tell me what that means. It will be confirmed and added to your list in course list in myBTEC. You can now set predicted and target grades for your learners in the Learner Progress Tracker. Okay, so I can either confirm and finish directly, and that would take me back to the home screen, or I can confirm and set targets. And I'm not going to use that at the moment because I want to show you where that screen is and how you'd get to it generally. So I'm going to confirm and finish. Seems to be taking a while, all this stuff. Well done if you're still awake. Okay, so this is what my course looks like. And if I go back to the course list now, it should appear somewhere in my course list. So I can find it, and I'm actually going to make it a favorite. You remember how to do that? Yep. You click on the little star, and it always appears on the top of your lists. And if it's the course that you're running every day, then that's where you want it to be. Come on, data. Don't disappoint me now. You're doing so well. I love that when my children have just turned Netflix on. So I've got my live demo here. That's the course I've just created. I've got 4 learners on it. Basically gives me the data, very rough overview of what it is. I'm going to set it as a favorite, so it always appears at the top of my list. And then I'm going to enter it by clicking on that underscored link. So the vast majority of your administration will now be carried out in these 4 tabs and the sub-tabs thereof. So a lot of this stuff is done in the same place. You don't have to do a lot of running around looking for things at all. So course management tab basically tells you your learners, your units that you're delivering, and your course team. The course assignments tab here will tell you about the assignment briefs that have been imported into your course. We should currently just have 2 assignment briefs in there, which are the authorized assignment briefs for Unit 15, I think it was. Maybe. It was. So again, infographics to let you have a really quick summary of what's going on without having to read stuff. So of my course assignments currently, I've got 2 being created. I've got no active, when by active I mean with learners being done, non-finished, and by finished I mean back from learners having been done and marked. And in total, I have got 3 out of the 28 learning aims covered by assignments. So from here, I can add more assignments to this course if I want to. I can create new ones. Rarely you would create a new one, I suppose, but you can do. And you can cut and paste information from existing Word documents if you like. By far the most likely scenario is that you will be looking at, and I'll just click on that to look at that particular assignment brief. So I'm drilling down, if you like. That's back up the hierarchy into the course assignments. I've drilled down into one of these assignment briefs, and this is one of the authorized assignment briefs. If you notice, the info here says start date, not in plan yet, hand-in date, not in plan yet. And another set of tabs down the bottom give me all the information about this assignment brief so far. So I've got, that's the assignment in effect. That's all the information. If I want to have a look at what that looks like as it's printed out with learners, you can hit the assignment preview and it will appear as it would appear when you print these out to be issued. Obviously, you can't issue it yet because the assessor's not been determined yet. The start date, hand-in deadline has not been allocated yet, but that's what it looks like when you print it out. What else have we got? So what I need to do now is actually edit that assignment, because even with authorized assignment briefs, they usually, invariably, need to be contextualized for your particular center or learners. So let's go into edit the assignment now. And the edit the assignment takes me effectively into the course creation assignment wizard. It's just that this wizard that you can access blank if you go and you create an assignment straight off, but this one's actually populated with the information from this particular assignment brief. So assignment title, learner facing title, I can alter that information if I want to. This wizard gives me lots of information in order to guide what I am writing and putting into my particular assignment brief. It knows that this is part of Unit 15. I can click Next. It knows the learning aims. So there's the learning aim. If I was writing this from scratch, this data would still appear. I'd have to select the learning aim and it would know automatically what the assessment criteria are. Well, I'm happy that that's correct. In the vast majority of circumstances, somewhere in the scenario, there are delete as applicable bits. So this is the scenario that appears in my assignment brief. Not in the format that you perhaps recognize it, but this is the text that is used in that standard format that I showed you the preview of a few moments ago. And on the right-hand side, we've got lots of information that guide what these particular things should contain in order to comply with sort of best practice when you're designing assignment instruments. Now, these are all pre-approved by Pearson, in effect, so I can actually skip through these. I would generally read through it and get rid of any delete as applicables, or perhaps contextualize it slightly if it needs it. But this one will be fine. Be careful when you're doing anything to authorize assignment briefs not to change command verbs. Don't change an explain to an evaluate or the other way around, because that's means that you're changing whether it's fit for purpose or not. So eventually, if you're doing this from scratch and you're cutting and pasting into these boxes from an existing Word document, you eventually get to the end here. And there's a number of options that we can have in the end. We can add this or edit the assessment plan, which I may well do in a second. I can send it to the assignment checking service, which I might do with an assignment that I'd made from scratch. Probably wouldn't do with an assignment that was based on an authorized assignment brief, because it's pretty much guaranteed to be fine. I could send it for IV approval, or I can have a preview and have a look at what it would look like when it's printed out, or I can just finish it and go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the system protects you from yourself by sending this for IV approval. Right? It won't let me. In effect, what it's saying is you can't send this for IV approval because it hasn't actually got any dates assigned to it, and the dates are actually part of the IV approval checks that are carried out. So I'm going to put some dates in here. Start date, okay, and I'm hand-in deadline, okay, and IV sampling date, all in December last year, resubmission dates and IV sampling dates. And who's going to assess it? Well, I'm going to assess it. and my colleague IV Demo is going to internally verify it. Okay, so now I've populated those dates, I can send it. And that's gone away now for IV approval. So assignment sent to internal verifier. Assignment has been sent to blah, 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 blah. Your internal, you will receive an email notification once approved or rejected. Okay, so that's gone. Two things I want to show you. We can finish that now. Close it. Go back into our course assignments and we should see a status change in our course assignments. So let's look at one draft assignment, and I've got one assignment IV in progress, and that's the one I've just sent in. Also, if we go into the assessment plan, those dates that I've just entered, they're not just going to hang around in the ether. They've actually been populated for me into my assessment plan. My assessment plan is sat there. So those are the dates and the assessor information that I've just put on that assignment brief before I sent it for approval. And I can view that as a Gantt chart if I want to, which might seem a little bit twee at the moment when there's no information in it, that it's just sat there. But when you've got, well, lots, however many units were in this qualification with 3 or 4 assignments per unit, then it's important, or it's useful, to view that in a Gantt chart so you can see any pinch points and bottlenecks. You don't have lots and lots of things happening at the same time. You can also, if you want to, add external assessments into your assessment plan. And let's do that just as a demo. So I've got some externally assessed units. Which ones are they? Well, the system already knows. There's engineering principles in this qualification and unit 3, product design and manufacture. And the engineering principles exam, I've no idea when it is, but I'm going to put it in for sometime in June, as is typical. And I'm going to add that into my plan. Now that's in my plan, I can view it in my Gantt chart, and I can make sure that I don't plan any external assessments or any internal assessments around those dates to give people the best chance they can of revising and doing well in their engineering principles exam. So one of the things, useful things to have in that, obviously you can still see this thing as a table as well. You don't have to have it as a Gantt chart. You can see this in full screen to actually have a good look at what's going on. You can print it out. You can do all kinds of things. Export it to an Excel spreadsheet if you want to. Now, if I go back to our course assignments, and we look at this one that's got IV in progress, what I'm going to do is log out of being me, and I'm going to log in as being the internal verifier, which is this guy here. So if you were the internal verifier for one of your colleagues, you would log in. You would have already received an email notification to say that you had something to do. So assignment review. Assignment brief, authorized assignment brief is awaiting review. So that's basically saying, this has popped through from one of your colleagues. Please go and review the assignment brief and approve it, internally verify it. And by clicking on the button in the My Tasks task, it will take me straight there, I should do. And it takes me to, that's the assignment brief tab we looked at before. It looks like the same screens, but the permissions are different now because I'm a different user with different permissions. So this is the assignment IV tab, and it's inviting me to fill out this assignment, this IV form. So one of the things that the system, myBTEC, does is allows you to save a lot of time by pre-populating things, as we've discussed, and it will even do this to the extent of the bits that you have to think about when filling in forms. So if we look at what needs to be populated here, if it's a new assignment or another assignment, then I need to populate lots and lots of things correctly. Lots of things are checked already. Are the assessment criteria addressed stated correctly or accurately? Well, yes, because that will have been generated from data held within myBTEC. But the further up this list I go, the less questions I'm actually asked. So if it's an authorized assignment brief right at the top, exactly as published by Pearson, then the system already knows that this will be right. So all of these questions are pre-populated. So it knows the details are accurate because it comes from the system. It knows the deadlines are accurate because they're written on the assessment plan. There are dates in there. There are knows that the scenarios there because it's already been verified because it's an authorized assignment brief, etc., etc. And it leaves me effectively one thing to answer: is the time frame of an appropriate duration? And I can have a look at the assignment brief in this tab here, and it will tell me what all the information that I need to know about it. So I don't have to go traveling around for it. I don't have to have a copy of the assignment brief in a brown envelope. I can do it on the system. A little bit of dead air, as they say in radio. And let's have a little look-see. There's my assignment brief. If I preview the assignment, let's have a look at what it looks like. So I've got me as being the assessor, I've got the start date, and I've got a hand-in deadline. So I've only got 7 days to do this, but I think that's appropriate with my engineering hat on. So I can close that. I can go back into the assignment IV tab that I just left, and I can say, yeah, that's cool. The only thing that I have got to fill in is in that assignment brief, because it's an authorized assignment brief, I'll set it back to authorized assignment brief there. The only thing I've got to look at is the time frame appropriate. Yeah, it's fine. So some sort of constructive comment, and then even automatically populates if the answer to all these is yes, this must be yes. So it does it itself, and then you send it. If it's not fit for purpose, by the way, you can indicate where, put a comment in there, send it, and it will go back to the author and ask them to revise it according to your instructions. Now, I've just had another email to tell me that my assignment brief has been approved for use, which is good. So I can log out of internal verifiersville and go back into meville, that one. And if I look now in that same course and look at those assignment briefs, I've now got one that's fit for purpose, that is good to go. So, appearing as my favourites, excellent. That's the one I'm after. Straight in. Still lots to cover. So going into my course assignments. Come on. So I'm going to go slow for a moment there. Now I've got an assignment here that's ready for learners. So I can issue that if I want to, and I'll do that. So I can go into that assignment brief. Actually, I'm going to load the assignment brief now. Again, I've fallen for the click on the link error on my part. So I'll just come back out of that again. You do get used to these things eventually. It's taking me all the way back out. Right, course assignments. It is a little bit frustrating when you hit the wrong button in this thing, especially when you're trying to demonstrate things and you have a limited period of time in which to do it. Peter's just commented there in the chat, in the group chat, can't seem to create the course I am an assessor for. You won't be able to create the course unless you are a course leader or a lead internal verifier. So you need the role. If you have the responsibility to create courses, then you need to claim the role that allows you to do that. And that is a course leader. So this course now is ready for learners. I'm going to click over here to highlight that and add some learners to this course, which effectively then will issue it and save that. And effectively, as soon as you assigned learners, the assessment process has started. Now, one thing important thing we've not looked at yet is the Learner Progress tab. So before we actually mark anything, we'll go and have a look at the Learner Progress tab, because that's really, really useful and important. And the first thing I'm going to do is set targets and predictions. So it's important to keep track of what's going on with our learners and to keep track of the data and information about how well they're doing. They're my target grades based on ASPS or Fisher Family Trust, or however things are done these days in your particular centre. And in order for them to reach those target grades, they are going to have to work really hard. What I'm going to do is just in Alex's case here, what we think he will achieve in each individual unit in this particular qualification. So I'm just going to whack all those in. He's going to get a merit in that one, pass. Unit 9, we think he's going to get a merit and a merit. Oops. And a merit and a merit. And he's actually target grades and merits. You might well achieve that. I'm just going to save that. And what the system does, it goes away and uses the same algorithms that the certification system uses, and will calculate, based on what I've just entered as predictions, it will calculate an overall grade, which is good. So he's going to get an overall grade if he does what I've predicted he will do of a merit, and his target grade is a merit, so he's on track, which is brilliant. Learners on target, 1 of 4, big green infographic, awesome. Mind you, nothing yet has been assessed. Another infographic there that is depressing at their first day of term, but does generally fill up as you progress. Lots of things we can do here, lots of things it can also tell you. It will tell you the number of points needed if you are actually dropping behind. This thing not only allows you to enter grades manually, but also from the marking system, which we'll go and have a look at in a few seconds, it will populate grades into this system. So the 2 grey ones there are actually external units, so they're externally assessed, and when they are assessed and their results are entered on the system elsewhere, you don't have to do that. That's in edXL Online or somewhere. They are pulled through and populated here, and you know that they are no longer predicted grades because they'll go bold and they will have a little cup next to them to indicate that they are actual grades that have been pulled from the system. They're not predictions, they are firm grades. These ones, these are based on the tracking sheets, the tracking data that you enter in your assessment tab, which I'll show you in a few seconds. So once everything is assessed, you can drill down into this thing. So if I click on the Unit 2 for this particular learner, or them all in fact, there is no assessment data in the system currently for them. So these are all blank. But once these are populated as they go, once they are all done, so all of the learning aims have been attempted and the system knows which of the assessment criteria have been achieved, it will calculate the grade and it will bob in the unit grade. That will go bold to indicate that it's a real grade and has come from real data. If you don't want to use the assessment element of the system just yet, then if you want to use a tracking sheet and you want to put a firm grade in, you can add or edit final grades. So they're not predicted grades in this case. This is a final grade. So Unit 2 we've done. You've actually got a merit in Unit 2, and I'm going to save it. So my prediction was a pass. He actually got a merit, and that's been marked on paper elsewhere, but I still want to use this tracking system because it's really useful, and that little handshake means that that's a manually entered final grade. If I want to, I can request a claim, so I can claim certification straight from this thing. I can either, which allows me to do it from within myBTEC. If I'm not that confident or my exam officer doesn't want me to do that, then I can always export these reports in the correct format and supply them to the exams officer, but it does allow me to request claim directly from within myBTEC. There's also add and edit exclusions. If you have an instance where you want to change units at any point, but we've got limited time, that's a rare occurrence. It's useful. It allows you to add another unit to your portfolio and then swap which ones you're actually delivering. So if something bad happens or something means that you can no longer deliver a particular unit and it has to be replaced, then the system can still manage that. So let's go back to course assignments. We have got an assessment started down here, so let's have a look at that. So if we drill down into there, it should allow me to start marking that work as if it had come in and been completed. If I want to, I can assess offline, and that button there will allow me to print out all of the assessment record sheets and for manual completion if I really want to. I can IV a sample of this work if I want to, and it follows a very similar, it follows the same methodology as when we IV'd the assignment brief. You ask that to be sent away, it's sent. The only difference is that you have to send your learner work in a brown envelope to accompany it in order for the person IVing your assessment decisions to see your assessment decisions. So in these tabs here, we can actually, there's the assignment brief, we can confirm that it's been IV'd, and here are the assessment record sheets which now should be open for us. So that's the IV record of the assignment brief itself. These are the assessment record sheets. And there are my learners, and I can now enter my marking decisions directly. So if I do this for just Alex, the date was submitted, the handing deadline was the 15th of the 9th. If I put it after the 15th of the 9th, it automatically prevents me from authorizing a resubmission if I need to, because part of the rules of resubmitting is that the original work was handed in a timely fashion. So that's what it's doing now. It's just going and changing some of the options, opening up the option for resubmission if I need to. You did really well in P1. P2 was fine. So was that. And so was D1. You did really fabulously well. And it even automatically populates when these have been achieved some assessment comments for you. If it's a no, then you actually put your own comments in there. But if it's a yes, then you did really well. You've reached the criteria. There's not a great deal more to be said. You can put your own comments more generally about its general performance or areas of improvement or whatever else in the comments field down there. You tick on the I agree the authenticity declaration. There is no IV resubmission authorization here because they've met all the criteria. So let's just turn one of those criteria off. Say that was a near miss. And then I can authorize, if I want to, a resubmission opportunity for them. Go on to the next learner. I'm just going to say not submitted. They might have left the course. They never came back. They came in on Tuesday, left the course on Wednesday. First assignment scared them off. And then I'm going to complete the assessment. Now it gives me the option here of sending a sample of work off to my internal verifier if I want to. And I'm not going to do that because we've only got 12 minutes left. So, but that basically is exactly the same process as before. It allows me to select the person I'm going to send it to, and they will receive a message in their inbox. They click on that in their My Tasks inbox. They click on the link. It takes them exactly to where they need to be. They need to have the piece of learner work in front of them in order to do it, which has to come outside myBTEC somehow on an e-portfolio system of ELE or, God forbid, a piece of paper in a brown envelope. And we can finish. Okay. Again, lots of things in here. you know that the system is happy with what you've entered when a little bracketed M or D or P pop in here, and that tells you that everything's happy. You can export the assessment record sheets if you want. If you want paper copies of this, you can do that. I can still send a sample for IV sampling if I want to, although I chose not to earlier. What I will do now is go and have a quick look in the Learner Progress tab, because the results I've just entered for that first learner will pop up now and be there in the Learner Progress tab again. And it was Unit 15, I believe. So there you go. We've got P2, we haven't got D1, we've got M1 and we've got P1. Once you've done with all the assignments and populated all of that data, then this unit grade will come up and it will be correct. And it will go bold and it will indicate that it's actually come from assessment data that's held in the system that you've entered. So now this is assessment complete for that particular learner, but I can do something else if I need to get that extra distinction criteria. I really want to give them a resubmission. So I'm going to add a resubmission to this particular assignment brief. And it's going and looking for all the learner names where I said a resubmission was possible. Tick that box at the bottom. And it should pop up with, well, the only one that I marked of that 4 people. There you go. So the resubmission handout date is going to be today, and I can add that in. And you'll notice that some more tabs will appear. There you go. Now I've got a resubmission record sheet and a resubmission IV should I want it. So I didn't IV the original assessment, but I could have done. But I have now created a resubmission to allow this guy to get his distinction criteria, and he actually handed that in whenever he handed it in. And in this case, they did achieve it. And it was all hunky-dory, authenticity-wise. There you go, completed now with a distinction. Should let me complete the assessment, and then that will have updated that tracking sheet. So when you're tracking lots of different learners and lots of different things, lots of different units, you can see the value of a system where it's all kept in one place. All the people involved in the course can see that. All the people who are interested in learner performance can also see that data. And now if we go back into the learner progress tracker and drill down into Unit 15, that A1, D1 is now met because of that resubmission. Right, that's about as much as we've got time to go into, and we've covered the vast majority of the functionality, really. The only thing we've skirted over slightly, I suppose, is the internal verification elements, but we've had a really good look at the Learner Progress tab. The assessment plan we've seen, how that can be displayed in a Gantt chart, how that when you enter numbers either into your plan or into your assignment brief, it doesn't matter, they will end up, those numbers, those dates, on your assessment plan. If you notice down here as well, look, we've got a unit, the resubmitted assignment is actually also on my assessment plan to keep track of everything, which is also really useful. So in my course assignments, although it appears twice on the tracker, it only appears once in my course assignments, but that course has now got a resub after it. Still got that draft assignment there, and although basically we've just done that in one assignment brief that we have gone through and we've altered and we've accepted, and we've gone through the entire process in effect from all the way from claiming a role, all the way through creating an assignment, creating a course, creating an assignment, marking that assignment, IVing the assignment, then issuing it to learners, then marking the assignment, then looking at the trackers. So I think we've covered more than enough to keep you busy for a wee while at least. I wonder at what point you thought, goodness me, there's far too much in this event for me to take in, because there probably is. But I hope that you have enjoyed what you've seen so far. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and we're going to jump over to have a look at a few slides. Not necessarily the slides, to be honest, are the important parts. I think we've covered a great deal of what we actually want to cover. It's more, in effect, a couple of questions for you guys, plus this, which is quite important to leave you with. And I'm conscious you've been on there for an hour and a half nearly, and they've got 5 minutes to go, and it's Friday, and everyone wants to go to the pub, if we can do that anymore. So what you can do is not dive into myBTEC all at once, but grow your depth of use in a sort of sensible way. You don't have to use all the functionality at once. You can use the course builder and add your learners and then use your progress tracker without actually creating assignment briefs or any of that stuff, really. You can add things into your assessment plan with no, as placeholders with no assignment briefs. So if you want to use this really, so you can use the really useful functionality of the Learner Progress tab and enter everything in manually apart from that, you can. It's fine. And then everyone in your organization will have access to look at the Learner Progress stuff. The next stage, if you like, then is to start adding your assignment briefs in there, and then to incorporate the internal verification review process into the myBTEC way of doing things in your center. And then the third thing, when everyone's comfortable with it, then is to look at marking and controlling your IV sampling online as well. So you don't have to come into this thing all at once. You can build your depth of use, and you can use a lot of the really useful functionality without a great deal of effort, without having to put loads and loads of information into the system. You can use the things like the Learner Progress Tracker, which are really useful. Now, there are some polls, which I know that Ben is quite keen that we get at the end of these events. So I hope now you've got enough answers and enough things to actually do it. So how does myBTEC make your life easier? If you are still out there in BTEC land, do give me an answer to some of these questions, 2 or 3 polls to do, and then I'll bid you adieu. How does it make my life easier? By making sure I have a valid combination of units, by using target, predicted and actual learner grades to track progress, by choosing and producing all assessment documentation automatically, by providing relevant guidance notes at every stage. Well, it's all of the above. Thank you. Someone's just submitted an answer. It's all of the above. You can select all of those because it's true for all of them. It helps the system guide you through things and helps you not get things wrong. Now, are you confident that you know what to do to get started? A simple yes, no here would be fabulous. Again, either everyone's gone. Oh no, we've got some. Excellent. There's a bit of lag between me and you guys, which is excellent. So that's all of the people who've responded so far. Yes, you do. Good. EOL log on, claim a role, give it a go. And probably more importantly, from Ben's point of view and mine, have what we've shown you today actually given you the confidence actually to give myBTEC a go and to trial it in your center? There's one more question after this. Awesome. We've got a really healthy percentage saying yes, definitely, which is what we're all about. And while you're here, you know we're talking about this system not being an e-portfolio. Out of interest, in case Ben and his team would like to sort of develop some sort of links through and maybe someday, one day, develop an e-portfolio within myBTEC, perhaps. Which one of these are you currently using? So what format is your learner working? Do you deal in hard copy only? Have you got a Moodle system? Is it Microsoft Teams or OneNote? Is it Google Classroom or some other Moodle e-portfolio type thing? Digital storage, maybe? I tend to work on bits of paper, but I do have colleagues that have set fancy systems up on Moodle and fancy systems on OneNote as well. So Google Classroom is picking up by the looks of things, which is cool. Right, so we've got a smattering there of everything, which I'm sure from Ben's point of view doesn't really help, unless you can do it all at once. Right, 31 minutes past. So thank you very much for joining us this evening for this marathon session, if you like, of going through pretty much all the functionality of myBTEC. Still more stuff to go, still more stuff to do, but in an hour and a half we have managed to cover everything you need to know in order to get started and to get on the system, to create a course, to claim a role, to create assignment briefs, to IV your assignment brief, to set targets, to track progress, to mark work, to internally verifying your marked work, to organize resubmissions, all within myBTEC. So if you can even take away a fraction of that and start applying that in your own centres, then I'm sure that will relieve a whole lot of the admin burden that can be provided by a complicated course like a large multi-unit BTEC. And it just remains for me to thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you have, well, enjoyed would probably be a strong phrase, but I hope you have appreciated the information that you've been given this evening. If you've got any further questions, by the way, just bob them in one or other of the questions pods, and at some point in the next few minutes before we log off ourselves, we will make sure you do get an answer to those. I'll be online for a few minutes and so will Ben. So thank you very much, and it's good night from me.